Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and this is dispatch number 4 from CES, and I want to thank everyone for the great feedback we've had. It's actually helped guide me in the process here. So we're going to do one last day of some quick hit stuff around the show floor, which I'll talk about in just a second, but I do, as always, want to remind you that Silicon Dust, the makers of the HD Home Run, my favorite over-the-air or cable cord-cutting device, is sponsoring our content this week, so be sure to thank them down below in the comment stream. They made all of this possible, so they've been a big help. They do a lot of great products, and we covered that. We're going to have an interview with them up tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. So I also want to thank Goldie Chan behind the camera, who can't actually be seen at the moment. We'll put some B-roll in. She's been helping me out with camera work and all the other things that go into the content you see this week. You really can't do this show alone. That was one of the points I wanted to bring up on the opening intro of this video, because this show is so enormous. So we're in just one hall of this entire thing, which basically takes over most of Las Vegas. So there are 3 huge exhibit halls just in this building. There's another building over there, another one on the other side of that building. There's more stuff across the street. A lot of the bigger brands just have suites and all these hotels that are located throughout the area here. So I was hoping to catch up with Asus, but they're in the Trump Tower all the way over there. We just can't get there and back here and get all the things we want to cover in. So a lot of things we're not going to be able to see. And I wanted to set this shot up in front of CNET here, because it really just gives you an idea of the kind of resources it takes to fully cover this show, which is why I look for things that are a little different and unique, because they're often missed or don't get the same kind of focus that you would hope to get with a bigger organization covering it. So you really got to look at what you're able to do and then work within those limitations, which is actually kind of fun to try to do as much as you can without running out of steam. So last night I went to a party at the NVIDIA suite, and I got to try out Oculus Touch. So you all know I have an HTC Vive that I've been very happy with, and I got to try out the Oculus, and the Oculus is pretty nice actually. I haven't tried one before last night, and the headset is very lightweight. The resolution and just the overall feel of the VR experience feels very much the same. So it's almost like they both made use of whatever available technology there was in their products, because things really do look and feel the same, but the Oculus felt a little bit more comfortable. The touch controllers are pretty decent. I actually kind of prefer the HTC ones, maybe just because I'm more used to them. There's more buttons on the Oculus controllers, but they did a decent way of tracking motion and movement, and felt in line with what I have experienced with the HTC product, but there's no room scale yet with Oculus, so I think HTC still has the edge there. I'm really excited to see where VR is headed. There's a bunch of VR stuff here, a lot of it actually. In fact, the gaming hall was filled with it. I didn't really see anything that was all that groundbreaking or better than Oculus or the Vive, although that AR glasses from ODG we looked at last night were really, really good. So today we're just going to start roaming around, so be on the lookout for a whole bunch of content, hopefully. I was trying to do like a big wrap-up of all the PC makers here, but they're so spread out, and some of them are not really having much of a presence at the show. They're just doing private meetings, so I didn't get everybody in. So we're going to try to get some of these products that I'm hearing about into review. So you're going to see some PCs, but not a full representation of the PCs here at CES. All right, so we are checking out some PCs over here at the Lenovo booth. This is the ThinkPad X1 Carbon. Very lightweight, it's about 2.5 pounds. It feels like an Ultrabook. I guess it kind of is, but it has an i7 processor on board as one of the configuration options. It's with the new architecture, so the graphics should be pretty quick on this one. And I really like how lightweight this is for a full-featured i7 laptop. It's certainly a lot lighter than my MacBook Pro is, so not too bad. We're going to be doing a closer look at these when we get in our review loaners, so we'll definitely put it through its paces. And here's just a quick comparison with last year's X1. They got the bezels a lot smaller by redesigning the camera. So same size screen, but it's smaller now because the camera doesn't take as much of the bezel up as it used to. So they were able to cut a lot of space or size out of that screen, yet keep the screen size itself the same. All right, so they also have some new gaming laptops to take a look at also. This is the Y520. It's going to start at $899, which is a pretty good price for a gaming laptop. And what's been happening with NVIDIA is that they've taken their new Pascal architecture, those 1050, 1060 chips, and they're putting them into laptops. So this one here, I don't know if this is the $899 configuration, but I'm pretty sure you're going to get a 1050 on this one, which will be faster than last year's mobile chips by a good margin. Then you have the higher end model here, which can go up to a 1060. So these are really decent little gaming laptops, and I think will be a lot faster than the ones we looked at earlier this year. All right, so now we're over at HP, and they've got some really cool looking all-in-ones here. This is the HP Envy. It's a 34-inch all-in-one, so your computer is down here. They have a couple of different options on CPUs and everything. You can get a NVIDIA 950 in here. They also said they have some AMD options also. So not quite a gaming machine, but it's definitely good for video editing and stuff. They've got a recessed web camera here for those of you that put tape on your webcams. You don't have to anymore. You can do that. And it's got a sound bar on here that sounds pretty decent. Actually, we're in a noisy room, so it's really hard to hear it well, but it does sound pretty good, at least to my ears. And then we've got a control here for the music, so you have some capacitive controls over there, and you can charge your phone on this thing right there. So pretty cool looking device here, nice widescreen, and probably good for doing content creation and that kind of thing. So now we've got the HP Spectre 15. This is an X360 device. It turns into a tablet if you want, so you've got the touchscreen on here. Again, 4K, so really nice looking display on here, i7. It's got an NVIDIA GTX 940M. They also put some Thunderbolt USB Type-C ports on the side, but you still get a regular USB port on the other side, HDMI out, and a card reader. So a few more ports than the Mac has. Pretty nice compact laptop. I guess this one, they said, is a little thicker than the prior generation because they put a larger battery in it to keep the battery life consistent, even though it's got that much larger display. And we got to look at the new Dell XPS 13 2-in-1. So they've created a tablet laptop hybrid. It looks a lot like the Dell XPS 13 laptop, but it's a lot thinner and a lot lighter. It's running with the low-powered i5 and i7 chips. These used to be known as Core M processors, but they are now giving them the full i5/i7 designation, but are putting a lower power-consuming chip in there. So these are essentially the next generation of the Core M. It is the Kaby Lake generation. It's thin and fanless. It goes up to a QHD display, and it has a fingerprint reader now. Of note, they relocated the camera. It's now in the center, but it's still on the bottom of the display. All right, we're at the Kodak booth, and we're taking a look at a new Super 8 film movie camera. Yes, it does film, not video. And it's coming out from Kodak. They're going to have a limited release of this thing, so like many of these really nice retro devices we've seen, it's going to start around $2,000 when it comes out. It does come with a lens. It's micro four thirds compatible, so if you have one of those C-mount lenses, you can put that lens on this camera. And it shoots to film, and what you do with that film is you buy it from Kodak. When you're done, you take the film and mail it back to them. Now, what's interesting is that in the past on these old Super 8 movie cameras, you couldn't record audio. This camera does. So what it's going to do is give you a preview image digitally in the screen that is attached to it, and it will also record audio onto an SD card. And then when you mail the film back, you send back the audio with it, and you get back a high-definition movie file on a memory stick or a flash card or some other medium, and you have now a film recording that they have transferred to essentially HD video for you. Really neat concept, not going to be for everybody, definitely more of an enthusiast product. After these first 2,000 or so are being sold as a special edition are done, they'll have a less expensive version. It'll still be pricey because this is going to be kind of a limited release product, but it'll probably be under $2,000 when the main release comes out. But if you have a family member that lived through the 60s and 70s and before that perhaps, they would really be interested in this, I think. It might be a good gift idea if you've got that kind of money to spend. So we got wooden cases, leather cases, and now astroturf. Here's another neat little thing that actually serves a purpose. These are called the RemoveU wind jackets, and they look cute, but they actually help with wind noise because they are what are essentially dead cats that wrap around your GoPro. They cost about $24 on Amazon. And they also have this little thing called the S1. It is a rainproof 3-axis head-mountable gimbal, so it fits on the top of a helmet to maybe stabilize your shots a little better. So we're here at the Mi booth. This is actually short for Xiaomi, and of course we looked at the MiBox just recently, which was pretty much their first major North American product. This was found in Walmart. We did a pretty good review on that one, and thanks to our viewer Trent Hoverman, who got one for us very early. Now the performance on the box was okay, but it wasn't as fast as I would like it to be. Now they have a MiBox Pro that unfortunately is not available anywhere outside of China or maybe India, so you can't get this in many places just yet. This one's only $58 overseas. It's faster. It supports Dolby True HD and DTS HD, those lossless formats that the other box did not. It also has more USB ports as well, so a little beefier box, but unfortunately we can't get it here in the United States just yet, but those of you in India or China might be able to get a hold of one. And we also found this little guy. This is the MiBox Mini. It is just a little plug that you plug into your wall. It's got an HDMI output for your television. Not very fast. It's only got a gig of RAM. It lines up a lot with those HDMI sticks we've looked at recently. Only $26, but only in China at the moment. And here's another computer you can't get in the US or most of the world for that matter. This is the Mi Notebook 13.3. This thing has got a lot packed into it, and it's not that expensive, at least in China at the moment. So 13.3-inch 1080p display, very similar to the 12.5-inch Mi Air that we looked at just a couple of weeks ago. That one had a Core M3 processor. This one has an i5, so it's got the full-blown mobile Intel processor, but they also managed to get a GPU inside as well, a GTX 940, so a 940 MX to be exact. So there is some cooling on the bottom here, which you don't have on the Mi Air, which was fanless, but it really feels about the same weight. It's not all that heavy. Really, really nice computer, and I'm really hoping I can get my hands on one of these in a couple of weeks to do a full review. And here's another thing you wish you can get but can't. This is the Mi Mix, and as you can see, there is very little, actually there's no bezel at the top of the screen here. Really nice smartphone from Xiaomi. What's interesting is that they vibrate the case for a speaker because there is no speaker, obviously, because the screen is taking up all the room. And it also has an ultrasonic sensor when it gets closer to your ear to turn the screen off when you're talking on the phone. So this has got a 6 gigabytes of RAM. It's got a 256 gigabyte flash storage on there. It also has a Snapdragon 821 processor on board. It's a really nice Android phone. Again, China only on this one. They sell this phone, as you're seeing it, for about $578 in China. And you know I'm a big Star Wars fan, and I found these little USB drives here. They're 16 gigabytes each, about $15, I believe, on Amazon right now. But I really like the detail on them. They really did a nice job making these little stand-up USB sticks. The USB port is in the head of the creature, so you pop off the head and you get the USB stick and you can plug it into your computer. So we found our friends at Synology, and I'm very excited to see another router from them. So I use the Synology router now at my house. They have a now faster one coming. Full disclosure, they were a past sponsor on the channel, but I really use all this stuff all the time. There's other companies that I really like. So the new router here is faster. So it has a faster processor, has more RAM. So they've gone from 256 megabytes of RAM to 512 megabytes. 4x4 AC wireless on here also. So we've got 2 more antennas than we did before. So they've beefed up everything, made it faster so you can run more applications on it. It can work as a time machine backup and have some minimal NAS features also. A pretty well-rounded product with probably the best interface among routers I've ever seen out in the marketplace. I'll put a link down to my review of the old version so you can see exactly how it works. Same interface on this one. What they've added here on the back is some link aggregation for the WAN port. So the first LAN port can be configured to be a WAN port, and you can actually bring in your internet from 2 different providers and make it faster by kind of splitting the load across 2 different providers, or you can have it be a failover. Got 2 USB ports, even an SD card slot, all sorts of great stuff, and we'll get one in soon and do a full review. So we look at a lot of affordable NAS devices. If you want to go for the gusto and you got 10 grand burning a hole in your pocket, here is a 24-drive SSD NAS from Synology. Now what's cool about this is that, well, it is $10,000, but what's cool about it is that it runs with the Synology operating system that you'll get on a $200 unit, for example. It's the same exact thing, except this one has a 6-core Xeon processor. It's got all these modular fans that you can pull out. It's very easy to work on because it is an enterprise-level device. It is also very smart about wear leveling these SSDs because, as you know, you can only write to an SSD so many times, so you can know which drive is failing and swap it out. It'll then move the load to the next drive so that it's doing a good amount of wear leveling as you're going through it. So pretty cool stuff, but it's good to see just the range of products that a company like this makes, but what you get in your consumer device is very similar to what you get on the higher end, just different scales of cost and processing power. So here's another interesting thing. This is called Solarpaper, and they are modular solar panels for your smartphone. They're telling me that 2 of these together would equal about what you would get out of a iPhone wall charger. So, a 5 volts, 1 amp kind of USB power. Then you can add up to 6 of them to bring in more voltage. Of course, you need sunlight to make it work, but kind of a neat thing. You can attach these things magnetically. So what they're doing now is selling the panels together for $135, and then additional panels are $50 each. So now we're taking a look at something called the Taclim, and this is a pair of shoes, I guess, that works in VR. And I'm walking across this virtual sand right now, and it's got some tactile feedback on it, so I can feel my feet kind of digging into the sand as I move across here. And I can also do some motion controls. So this works with, obviously, these mobile phone VR systems here. So you have this as an option. So you have some hand controllers that you don't typically have, so I have to punch these guys. And they also have the ability to detect kicking as well. But you do feel some tactile feedback that changes as you continue walking here. So right now I'm in water, it's a little squishier. And when I go to the wood, it feels a little harder. So pretty interesting product concept. This is going to be a little pricey, about $1,000 for the kit. But I think we're going to see a lot more of products like this to try to give you some immersion in VR. So when you're wandering around, you find interesting things. This is called the Dino Light. It's a little microscope that goes 10 to 230x. What I found interesting is that they have one for $99 that has that magnification. So you can get a 640 by 480 thing on your screen. And up here you can see this watch turning. It even has some depth of field to it, which is pretty neat to see. So they have more expensive ones. I think this particular one is $629. It has a higher resolution and a different kind of lens on it. But for $99, you can get a kid one of these things, and they can get something that is equivalent to a microscope that I had as a kid. That's pretty neat, and it plugs right into your computer. So that's going to do it for our coverage, or at least our dispatches from CES 2017. We've got one more video after this one, which is our interview with HD Home Run, the Silicon Dust folks. We're going to talk to the CEO and get an update on their DVR project as well as some of their hardware and whatnot, so stay tuned for that. I'm also going to do on the wrap-up an overview of the equipment we use to cover the show. It all fits in this backpack, believe it or not. It gets heavier by the minute, but we were able to get all of this stuff that we needed into a single backpack, which is what you need to do when you're a small operation. It was a very good show for me. I got to network with a lot of folks that I've only emailed with back and forth, so it's really good as a small operation to be present at things like this. It's not inexpensive to come, but certain things you need to do to really make your mark and make your networking connections, which is what we were doing here at the show in between finding stuff for you to see. Now, what's funny about finding the interesting stuff is that we have to wade through about 50 or 60 uninteresting things to get to the interesting stuff. And as I mentioned at the outset, the scale of this show is just ridiculous. We're in the smallest hall, which is across the street from all the other stuff. So we've walked through everything. And this is about the best stuff that I could find for all of you. So I hope you enjoyed it. Love to hear your top picks down below in the comment stream. And I will see you all very shortly with more content on the channel after I get some rest. This is Lon.TV signing off from CES 2017. Thanks for watching. This channel is brought to you by my Patreon supporters. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to Lon.TV/Patreon to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/S.